Hello. Today we'll talk about the response-reaction essay. Okay, so first let's talk about the purpose of the essay. The purpose of this kind of essay is to express your opinion about ideas you have heard or read from another source. The style of writing is academic. You're going to use formal to semi-formal language. Informal language is not appropriate for this task. The skills that you will require to be able to write this essay are critical reading, which means you need to understand the openly written messages in the text, as well as reading between the lines, understanding what the author means, even if the message is not openly written in the text. You will also need to do critical writing. You will analyze what you read and organize your own text. Your own text will probably not follow the same outline that you find in the original. If you are using more than one text for this kind of essay, then you will also need to synthesize the information that you find in the different sources. Okay, so let's see the typical outline of this kind of essay. Notice that we begin with the introduction. So you generally introduce the topic. Remember that a general introduction does not go straight into the idea that you're going to write, but warms the reader up to the ideas that you're going to be writing. This we called the funnel method, and it is also valid for this kind of essay. At the end of your introduction paragraph, you will write your thesis statement, which will state the main aim of the essay. This is followed by two main body paragraphs, the summary and the response. And then, as in all essays, you write a conclusion, which is another paragraph. Looking at these in more detail, in the introduction, the last sentence you write is your thesis statement. While stating the main aim of your essay, you will cite the source in full in the thesis statement. So if you know the author, the article, and the year, you will have to mention all of them in the thesis statement so that the reader understands what you're talking about. Moving on to the summary. Now, you will, first of all, underline the main ideas you want to include. This means you don't have to summarize the whole text. You can choose sections of it, depending on what you want to talk about in that essay. Then you will organize these ideas into your own outline for the summary paragraph, which is probably going to be different from the original. When you are writing the ideas, you will paraphrase them, of course, trying to aim for correct English. If you have more than one text, synthesize them into one text as necessary. As you are writing your summary, you need to refer back to the original sometimes. Do not include details or examples. Remember, we said underline the main ideas. Do not add your own opinion or evaluate in the summary paragraph. This is only going to be the original. Finally, aim for 20% of the original in length. This may be difficult for two reasons. One, if the original is already short, you may be unable to bring it down to 20%. Two, if you're finding it difficult to express ideas in English, you may not be able to express them precisely and concisely. Do your best. Moving on, the response is the place where you actually tell us about how you feel about it. Express your own opinions about the ideas in the summary. Remember, we begin with expressions such as "in my opinion." Refer to the original as needed, but only by writing expressions such as the author says in line 4, or similar expressions. If you try to re-summarize the author's ideas, one, the response paragraph is going to be too long. Two, you will have repeated the information in the summary, because what you are responding to here is the same as what you have in the summary. Remember, in any kind of writing, repetition is something we are trying to avoid. So after you have introduced your topic, summarize the original successfully, and then express your own opinions about it, it's time for you to write the conclusion. In the conclusion, please write one sentence to restate the main idea. That is your concluding sentence. And add 1 or 2 sentences to wrap it up. This means express your own opinion about it again, perhaps. Try to convince us to some kind of point of view. It's acceptable. Or you can leave us with food for thought. So without expressing something openly, you could, for example, ask a question so that we start thinking the way you want us to think. So these are the basic instructions for your response essay. Now let's see an example. So the example here is responding to the Green New Deal. The instructions are to read the 2 extracts. The one on the left supports the Green New Deal, while the one on the right is against it. After reading it, respond mainly to the issue. State your own opinion about the points put forward in full expression. That is, I agree with the proponents is not adequate support. You need to substantiate anything that you say. The response in a response essay is subjective because it presents your point of view. However, in fact, this is an academic text, so you need to present it objectively. Emotional responses are not appropriate in this task. So here is an example essay based on the information provided in the previous slide. The promise and pitfalls of the Green New Deal. As climate change continues to pose threats to both the environment and communities worldwide, proposals like the Green New Deal have stirred significant debate. So this is a general sentence that presents the issue to the reader. It mentions the Green New Deal as the main topic of the essay. Supporters and opponents alike voice their positions on many platforms. I'm trying to move the subject along towards the main idea, which is the thesis statement, but I don't want to give away too much in the introduction because the actual material is going to come in the summary. Actually, this is a good link to my thesis statement. The article's titled, "What Would a Green New Deal Achieve?" and "What Would a Green New Deal Cost Us?" by supporters of the Green New Deal and their opponents, respectively, express the analyses underlying these opposing views. Now here we mention the title of both articles or both paragraphs in our case. Since we are not given the names of the authors, we can refer to them as supporters and opponents. And we just mention that we are going to be talking about these 2 points of view without actually announcing that we are going to be talking about them. This brings us to the summary paragraph. The supporters of the Green New Deal emphasize its potential to strengthen community resilience in the face of intensifying climate risks by fortifying infrastructure to prevent damage from rising sea levels. This is the main argument from the pro paragraph. We have excluded all of the details from it, only focusing on the main idea of preventing damage from rising sea levels. In contrast, the opponents highlight the logistical and financial difficulties inherent in such a massive restructuring, emphasizing the need for wide-scale planning, funding, and workforce training. And this second sentence is the summary of the second paragraph. Notice the linking device is in contrast because they are opposing points of view. Planning, funding, workforce training are technical words that I cannot change. However, the rest of it is paraphrased. You will note that this paraphrase is about 50% the original because the paragraphs are in fact very short and there is no way of shortening it further without excluding important information. So this is going to be acceptable for our purposes. Next, we have our response paragraph. In my opinion, both sides present valid concerns. So this is just a topic sentence. I'm not getting into the details of what I think yet. One basic difference in their approach is that while the supporters focus more on long-term benefits, the opponents' arguments center around immediate difficulties. This is the basic difference between them. From here on, you will decide which party you agree with. You may say the Green New Deal should go forward, or you may say you are totally against it. It does not matter which one you support as long as you substantiate your subjective opinion with objective criteria. After writing your response paragraph, which is likely going to be longer than the summary, this is the part for which you are writing the whole essay, and we would like to see your own opinion clearly explained and supported. After this comes the last part, which is the concluding paragraph. In summary, there are strong arguments both in favor of and against the Green New Deal. The introduction and conclusion parts of an essay are pretty personal. We cannot dictate exactly how to write it. This one is again an impartial expression of the summary of what the whole essay is about. Just like the thesis statement, it does not indicate any kind of preference. You, when you are writing your essay, might just do that, and that will be equally acceptable. After you wrap it up with a concluding sentence, complete the essay with a few words expressing your final verdict, or leave us with food for thought. You can ask a very pivotal question that will leave us thinking and perhaps persuade us to your point of view. You can express your hopes for the future, your vision for the future, dangers if one or the other opinion is not followed, anything that you want to tell us as a final word can go in here. There is no right or wrong answer. The only thing that could be wrong would be repeating the same ideas over and over, which is a danger that you should avoid. And this concludes our presentation on the response or reaction essay. Happy writing!